Hello all, greetings of the day. Welcome to the online video tutorials on Module 1 ARM 32-bit microcontroller. Course is Embedded System 18EC62. Myself, Akshit Monnapake, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Sai Vidya Institute of Technology, Bangalore. In the previous lecture video, we discussed about the architecture of ARM Cortex-M3, the operating modes and its transitions, the NVIC, the memory map, the bus interface, the MPU, interrupts and exceptions, as well as the debugging support available in the Cortex-M3 processor. So in today's session, we will be discussing about the registers available in the Cortex-M3. The Cortex-M3 processor has registers running through R0 to R15. They are 32-bit general purpose registers from R0 to R12, and these registers are used for data operations. Some 16-bit thumb instructions can only access a subset of the registers that are low registers, which runs through R0 to R7, and R8 to R12 are called as high registers, which are used for thumb 2 operations. R13 is the stack pointer. It's also abbreviated as SP. In the Cortex-M3 processors, there are two stack pointers. This duality allows two separate stack memories to be set up. When using the register name R13, you can also access the current stack pointer. The other one is inaccessible unless you use the special instructions, that is the MSR and MRS instructions. The two stack pointers are as follows. The first one is the main stack pointer, abbreviated as MSP. This is the default stack pointer. It is used by the operating system kernel, exception handlers, and all application codes that require privileged access. The second one is the process stack pointer, abbreviated as PSP. It is used by the base level application codes when not running an exception handler. R14 is the link register, also abbreviated as LR. Inside an assembly program, you can write it as either R14 or LR. It is used to store the return program counter address when a subroutine or a function is called. Then we have R15, the program counter, also abbreviated as PC. It can be accessed in the assembly code by either R15 or by writing PC. Because of the pipeline nature of the Cortex-M3 processor, when you read this register, you will find that the value is different than the location of the executing instructions, normally by 4. In Cortex-M3 processors, the instructions for accessing the stack memory are push and pop instructions. So this figure represents the stack push and pop operations. When a main program calls a function or an exception handler calls a subroutine, the contents of the registers may change while executing the function or the subroutine. But this is not desirable, as the data stored in the register may be useful for further operations in the main program. So to avoid this, the register contents are pushed to the stack memory for further operation. Once the function or the subroutine has processed, before it returns to the main program, the register contents are popped out of the stack memory. Note that the Cortex-M3 processors have fully descending stack architecture. Stack operations can be done in two ways. First one is the one register in each stack operation. When only one value of one register is pushed into the stack memory or popped out of the stack memory with each line of code, then we say that one register in one each stack operation has occurred. So this example shows where a main program is being executed and the branching instruction calls for the function 1. We see that R0, R1 and R2 are having X, Y and Z values respectively. So before it calls to the subroutine, that is the function 1, we need to push the contents of these three registers inside the stack memory. So we can see in each push operation, a single register is used and the values are stacked into the stack memory and the stack pointers are adjusted. So we have a fully descending stack architecture. So after each push operation, the stack pointer gets decremented. So after executing the tasks called in the function 1, the values of R0, R1 and R2 are popped back into the registers. So they are restored and the stack pointers are readjusted. So after the subroutine has executed and the popped register values are already saved, then it returns to the main program using the address in the link register. The second method for stack operation is the multiple stack operation. Here, a single instruction is used to push and pop the values of multiple registers inside the stack memory. So this particular example, we can see a main program which is being executed with the register contents R0X, R1Y and R2Z. When a branch calls for the function 1 subroutine, the values of the registers R0, R1 and R2 are pushed inside the stack memory using a single push operation, and after the executing of the tasks of the function 1, the values of the registers R0, R1 and R2 are popped back and restored in the addresses. While using the link register, the branch will execute that particular loop and return to the main program. We can also combine the pop operation along with the return operation. In this particular example, the main program, while executing, has the values of R0, R1 and R2 as X, Y and Z respectively. When a branch calls for a function 1 subroutine, the values of these registers are pushed inside the stack pointer along with the link register content. So after executing the subroutine, the pop instruction is used to pop the values of the registers along with the program counter instead of using a separate instruction where you return the value of the link register. So here we are combining the pop operation along with the return operation to directly execute the subroutine and return to the main program. Let us take an example for the stack push and stack pop operation. This figure shows the stack push implementation using the register R0. We can see the memory addresses are incrementing from the lowest to the highest bit, but the stack pointer is a fully descending stack, so the stack pointer decrements after each push implementation. So the last push data, the stack pointer is being pointed to the last push data. When you get the register content R0 to be pushed into the stack memory, then the stack pointer decrements by 1. It stores the value of this particular R0 and then the stack grows downwards. So this figure represents the stack pop operation. From the previous figure, we have already used the push implementation to store the value of R0 register in the stack memory. So the stack pointer always points to the last pushed data. When you are popping the instructions using pop R0, then the value of the stack pointer, which is already pointing to the last pushed data, will retrieve the value of the register R0. It will store it in the register and then the stack pointer will increment by 1 so as to show to the previously pushed data. We have already discussed the general purpose registers. Now let us discuss the special registers available in the Cortex-M3 processors. So the Cortex-M3 processors has 3 special registers. The first one is the program status register. So this program status register is abbreviated as PSR and it is subdivided into 3 status registers, namely application program status register APSR, interrupt program status register IPSR and the execution program status register EPSR. They can be accessed using special instructions, that is the MSR and MRS instructions. So collectively, when we are using all the 3 PSRs, we can abbreviate it as XPSR. The PSRs can be read using the MRS instruction. APSR can be changed using the MSR instruction, whereas your EPSR and the IPSRs are read-only. So this figure represents the internal flags available in the program status registers. As we can see, the first 4 lines of code, the MSR and MRS instructions are used to access the program status registers. We can see that the APSR, IPSR and EPSR are read using the MRS instructions, and APSR can be changed or written into using the MSR instructions, whereas our IPSR and EPSR are read-only. This table represents the bit fields in the Cortex-M3 program status registers. So the main important bits are the negative flag, the zero flag, the carry and the borrow flag, overflow flag, sticky saturation flag, interrupt continuable instruction bits or the if and then instruction status bit, the thumb state and the exception numbers. Note that the thumb state is always set to 1 so as to exclude the fault exceptions from happening. Since the Cortex-M3 processor does not support ARM state, so the thumb state is always set to 1. The second special register is the interrupt mask registers. So there are 3 interrupt mask registers available in Cortex-M3 processors, namely the pre-mask, the fault mask and the base PRI. So they are used to disable the exceptions. These registers cannot be set at the user access level. It can be set only using the privileged level. So an operating system could use the fault mask to temporarily disable fault handling when a task has been crashed. So in this scenario, a number of different faults might be taking place when a task crashes. So once the core starts cleaning up, it might not want to be interrupted by other faults caused by the crashed process. This table represents the interrupt mask registers available in Cortex-M3 processors. So the first one is the pre-mask. Pre-mask is a 1-bit register. When this is set to 1, it allows the non-maskable interrupts and the hard fault exceptions, and all the other interrupts and exceptions get masked. Then we have the fault mask, which is also a 1-bit register. When this is set to 1, it allows only the non-maskable interrupts. All the interrupts and fault handling exceptions are disabled. Then we have the base PRI. Base PRI is an 8-bit register depending on the bit width implemented for priority level. It defines the masking priority level. When this is set to 1, it disables all the interrupts of the same or the lower level. The higher priority interrupts can still be allowed. If this bit is set to 0, then the masking function is disabled. These lines of code represents the high-level programming for setting or resetting the interrupt mask registers, namely the base PRI, the PRI mask and the fault mask. So the first 3 lines of code, we get the values of base PRI, PRI mask and fault mask into a variable X. So by setting the variable X of either of the 3 registers, we can either set the value or reset the value. The last 2 lines of code using the disable underscore IRQ or enable underscore IRQ is used to set or clear the pre-mask register. So if we want to execute the same lines of code as we saw in the previous slide in assembly language, these set of codes are used. So we use the special instructions, the MRS and MSR instructions to move the register value content of the interrupt mask register into any of the registers. Here for example, we have considered it as R0. After getting the value of those registers, we can write into that register, in turn writing into the base PRI or the PRI mask and the fault mask. So the last special register available in Cortex-M3 is the control register. The control register is used to define the privilege level and the stack pointer selection. So this register has two bits, namely the control 0 and the control 1 bit, as you can see in the table. So the control 1 bit in M3 is always set to 0 in the handler mode. In thread mode and base level, it can either be 0 or 1. This bit is writable only when the core is in the thread mode and privileged access level. In the user mode and privileged state, writing is not allowed. Another way to change this bit is to change the bit 2 of the link register when the exception return takes place. So next is the control 0 bit. It is writable only in the privileged mode. Once in user state, only way to switch back to the privileged state is to trigger an interrupt and change this in the exception handler. So to access the control register in C programming, we use the get command and set command to read the value of the control register and set the bit and reset the bit according to the specification. And to access the control register using assembly code, we make use of the MSR and MRS instructions as shown in this particular figure. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you all in the next online video tutorial of ARM 32-bit microcontrollers.